Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says the minimum wage bill, which has caused a lot of rancor between the House and labor unions, will receive adequate legislative scrutiny. In a meeting between the House and labor unions, Gbajabiamila is calling for cooperation to allow the bill go through legislative process for the benefit of all Nigerians.
Because we have a difference in opinion, we can't all agree all the time. So I would have loved a situation where you made your case, maybe at a public hearing or through advocacy on TV, media. It's done in in advanced democracies. There are many laws that people don't disagree with in America. They have their ways of channeling, and I think that's what we do.
The issues are straightforward, Your Excellency. Nigeria is a member nation of the International Labour Organization, which is the first agency of the United Nations. And minimum wage is part of the constitution of the ILO and also the Philadelphia Declaration of 1944.
Well, NLC Head of Information and Public Affairs, Benson Upah, joins us now to discuss the outcome of that meeting. Good to have you on Newsnight. So we have a good place to start. What's the outcome of that meeting? The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, is saying Labour should allow the legislative process to continue. Tell us what that meeting, how it ended.
I think the meeting was a fruitful one. We are not opposed to a legislative process that will look at the issues involved in this matter dispassionately.
Okay, so what is the NLC concerned about if you're not against the legislative process?
Yeah, our concern is this, that a national minimum wage is the barest minimum wage prescribed by a federal law. This is a global standard set up by, or given life to by, ILO instruments. And the first of those instruments is Convention 26 of 1928. Then the second instrument is Convention 131. Then the third one is Recommendation 135. We also have the Philadelphia Declaration, Article 3, subsection D, which enjoins all nations to pursue policies in regard to wages, earnings, hours, and other conditions of work calculated to ensure a just share of fruits of progress to all, and minimum wage to all employed in need of such protection.
The question that a lot of critics and analysts have asked is, when the NLC goes into negotiation with the federal government and you're expecting a really high minimum wage, not considering the fact that there are states that can't afford to pay this money, are you asking them to go broke or to become insolvent as a result of their inability to pay that kind of wage?
Okay, now this is where most people miss the point. When we go for a negotiation or negotiations for a minimum wage, all the social partners are represented, the employers of labor in the private sector, government, representatives of the states. In the previous ones, at least 6 governors were there, and we sit and dialogue. Let me take you back a little bit. What we did ask for initially was 66,000.
But how can any
just listen to me. Now, we sat down and negotiated, and we sat down and discussed all the indices, all the data were virtually provided by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. We came to a figure that was reasonable, payable, implementable. And let me say this, payment of a national minimum wage is not dependent on surplus resources.
What is it dependent?
It is dependent on prudence. It is dependent on the will to pay. Prudence. And let me share this with you. Evidence shows that the rich states, the really rich states in Nigeria, are usually the last to pay. The states classified as resource deficient usually are usually the first to pay, including pensions. So
I wonder what is responsible for. We really don't have.
And I tell you this. And I tell you this.
We have about a minute.
Oh sure.
So we need to hit the nail on the head.
Oh sure.
Yes.
So it tells you this, that it is not about it is not about I have to have resources to throw away. No, it is that they need to pay. It is the need to see they need to pay.
But it doesn't seem that the NLC is really, the NLC doesn't seem to be championing the need to actually, curb spending in government or wastage and all of that. You seem to be, harping basically on increased minimum wage and that's it.
No, please take note of this. A minimum wage is not synonymous with the pay structure of the states. As we are today, the states have different pay structures.
Yes.
All we are saying is that there should be a national benchmark below which no one should pay.
In other words, you're saying that
if you allow that, you'll be creating communities of poverty. And you'll be creating situations of insecurity because there is a link. Okay? All we're saying is that let there be a national benchmark below which no one should pay. And in the United States,
in other words, what you're saying is a minimum wage should be centralized.
We don't have
That's
time,
what you're saying. That minimum wage should be centralized. Thank you so much.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much.
That has been our argument. That
thank you, Mr. Benson Upah, the Head of Information and Public Affairs of the NLC. Thank you.